Let's look at the Lab 9 assignment, and I have some tips on how to implement it. So basically what you're going to be doing is starting from the WebChat demo program that you've downloaded from the GitHub repository. You're going to be adding a feature to it that allows the user to do keyword search over the messages in the posts database. And I've prepared a solution to Lab9 that I will not share with you because that would make it trivial for you to complete your lab. But I will demo it here so that you can see what the functionality should look like. And so I'm going to go ahead and stop this async.js that I was using for callback hell. And I've put the project in my, I believe I put it in, repos lab9. So I'm going to node server.js. And then if I go back to WebChat client and hit reload, I'm Mark. So this all looks exactly the same as before. And let me go ahead and open another session as Bob. So here's Bob and here's Mark. This part works as well if I say, hello, Bob. Bob sees hello, Bob, and can respond, hello, Mark. And then Mark sees that as well. So what's different? Well, if I type slash to indicate a command to the chat client, and then the keyword search for the type of command, and then add some keywords like music, that causes the system to fetch all of the posts that contain the keyword music. So this is basically the same functionality that I was demonstrating in the lecture videos, but it's been integrated into the web chat client and server. I haven't spent very much effort at all in terms of making this look nice. I could have like color coded the sender, and I could have formatted and added a date here. And probably lots of other things I could have done to make this look nicer. But that's not really the focus of the lab. The focus of the lab is to work with asynchronous functions using promises and async and await. And so this is doing that. Now, you'll notice that when I did the search here, I got the search results in my search pane, but Bob didn't see anything. So only the person who issues the search request should know that they're issuing a search request and should be able to see the results of the search request. It's invisible to all other users. And also, if I go ahead and reload here, that logs Bob out of the system. And if he logs back in, you'll notice that there's nothing in the chat history that indicates that Mark did a search here. So the information about the search being executed does not get stored in the posts database, and it doesn't get broadcast to the other users of the chat system. So let's actually look at how we would implement something like this. And I have the code for WebChat, which should be just what you see when you clone the repository yourself. So let's start on the client side. And here's the code that is looking for lines typed into the input box. And so you're going to want to go ahead and when the user hits return, you're going to want to look at whether what they've typed matches slash search or not, basically. And if it does, then you want to take everything after the space, so slash search space, everything after that is going to be keywords. And my advice, what I did in mine and what I think you should do as well, is instead of sending a post request, if they've done a slash search, send a different type of request. So if it's a slash search, go ahead and send a request of type search or search request. And then instead of having name and post, you're going to have a key or keyword property on your search request that includes the keywords that the user is looking for. And then this is going to get sent to the server the same way as the current post is sent to the server. And you'll be able to see that request. Let's see, where is that? So here is where you're actually getting the request. It's going to be a string in data that you can parse into a JavaScript object. It goes ahead and adds a time. I don't think you necessarily need to do that. But the important bit is here. At this point right here, you'll know that message.type is search result. And instead of going through this bit that writes the message to all of the clients, you probably just want to execute your search request and return to skip the rest of that. So before it does the db add message and before it broadcasts to the client, you want to go ahead and call your code that's going to fetch the results out of the database and then write that as a property of a search results message that you send to this guy right here. So this guy right here is the connection to the client, the user who did the search request. And so if you do ws.send and send a JSON object back, JSON.stringified object back, that will go only to the user who sent the search request. So how do you take the search request, the keywords from the search request, and come up with an array of post objects? Well, that's basically what we did over in the callback hell demo. So here is a message of type search, and we wrote a function called fetch posts that uses async and await the way that you want to do here, and it sends the results packaged up in a search results object. So basically this is what you want to do in response to the search request. The actual function that it's calling, fetch posts, is going to need to be adapted a little bit because I've asked you to implement fetch posts as a method inside of the database class. So let me go back to WebChat. So here you're doing db.addMessage, so that means that you have db available. Instead of doing that here, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to call a function or method like db.fetchPosts, and then that's going to invoke a method here that fetch posts, and it takes the keyword as an argument. You already have this .pool open. This is a promise to a connection pool. So you can use that promise here, something along the lines of async something like let pool equal await this dot pool. So that's going to give you the pool object that's behind this promise. And then you can start doing basically the rest of the stuff that you did in the other fetch posts. So basically this stuff here. And when you return records.recordset, you're going to be returning a promise because this is going to be an async method. And so when you get that promise back in server, you're going to want to do something with it. And my advice here as well, it's actually a requirement, is to use async here as well. So make this be async, and we really don't need that. We can just use this, something like that. Since this is an event handler, we can make this async without any problem, and that's going to let us write something like results is equal, or let results equal await your call to the db.fetchPosts method. And then this is going to be inside of something that says basically if message.type is equal whatever you're using to indicate that it's a search request, then you're going to do that. And then else you're going to do this. Okay, so that should be pretty much everything you need for that. On the other side, when you get back your search results, they're going to be delivered as a message here in this event listener that's waiting for messages to arrive on the socket. And probably what you'll have is a message where the type is something like search response or search results. And maybe if you followed what I did in the callback hell, there will be a data property that will have an array of JavaScript objects, one for each post. So what you're going to want to do here is probably case, look for a message of type search results or whatever. And then if you get it, you're going to format message.data as HTML and then add that HTML to chat.innerHTML. And then once you've done that, you can basically skip the rest of it. So this is the thing that writes normal chat messages to chat.innerHTML. You don't need to do any of this for search results. So what you can do is go ahead and do the chat.scrollTop equal chat.scrollHeight so that it will scroll the chat pane to the bottom. And then you can just return to skip the rest of this. And that should be pretty much it. So good luck with the assignment, and let your instructor know if you have any questions.